The college basketball season has a few weeks remaining in the regular season, so that means it's time for another NBA mock draft. This is the second one that we'll be doing for this cycle, but the first time we did some, there were some names who hadn't really emerged. And now we've seen how insane this class is. There are even more names to select and give some insight on. This mock draft is what we think would happen and what we would do in that situation. So if you guys enjoy, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. We generated our order on Fanspo, and Cameron will be giving us the first pick for the Washington Wizards.
With the first pick, as the Washington Wizards, we'll be selecting AJ Davanston. Davanston, to me, has had an excellent year so far. He's been not the most consistent. I think you have to kind of give that to Boozer, but I think he's been really, really consistent. He's had a lot of big-time performances, and it seems like he gets better each and every game. His last game versus Iowa State, it's one of the most complete games I've seen from a prospect all year. He stepped it up on the defensive end big time, shutting down a 20-point per game score. AJ Davanston, I think he fits what the Wizards do in a sense. I think he's the wing to add to he fits with their older guys and their younger guys. I don't think you can pass up a talent like that at once, so that's where I'm going.
Brooklyn Nets, they are desperately in need of a superstar, and I've been a big Cameron Boozer guy this entire draft process. I think he's going to impact winning so much in the next level. But if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, they need a superstar. And at this point, the biggest superstar potential is Darren Peterson from the Kansas Jayhawks. I know there's questions about his level of play in terms of being on the floor enough in college basketball. But for Brooklyn, they have shown a pattern even this past draft with 5 first-round picks of going dribble, pass, shoot. And that really describes Darren Peterson's game as well. He's an elite shot maker from three-point range, mid-range, and getting to the hole as well. So Brooklyn, this is a team that's been in mediocrity for a few years, and we'll see if Darren Peterson can get them up out the mud.
With the Chicago Bulls having the third pick, I think that leaves me no other option but to go with Cameron Boozer. I think there is a real argument now that you could maybe say there's a top 4 in this class, but I'm going to stick with Boozer here. I feel like he's a guy who can really fit on any team, and he has the skill sets that just make him a really valuable piece. I know there's questions about his translatability. Some of those I think are valuable to an extent, more so on the defensive side, but overall I think he's going to be a very impactful player. And I think the offensive skill set that he has, you can't deny it. He's a great passer, kind of a bully ball skilled guy, but can also space the floor a little bit. I think the Bulls taking Cameron Boozer here, he's a nice guy to go along with some of their other young, talented pieces that they have while they try to move into a new era.
For the Sacramento Kings, they don't have anything that gets in the way of picking anybody, so just going to go best talent available here, and for me, that's Caleb Wilson. I'm not, adverse to entertaining putting maybe one of the guards in the same class as Caleb and potentially the other 3 guys, but as it stands right now, I think I still have a tier break at 4. Caleb's been really good this year. He is injured and will miss some time coming up, but I think he's shown enough. He has real two-way potential, freakish athleticism, and he shows up in the biggest moments. Every game he's played against the top prospect this year, he's shown up. So, and you can almost argue he's won the matchup in every one of those games too. So give me Caleb Wilson, a real winner to go to Sacramento. Something they desperately need out there.
So with the 5th pick, this is going to the Los Angeles Clippers, and this is a big one because this was supposed to go to the Indiana Pacers, but with the weird pick protection that this selection has, if it's not inside the top 4 or outside of the lottery, this one's going to the Clippers, so a little bit of luck going LA's way. And with the trade from going from James Harden to Darius Garland, it's a clear sign that this team's trying to get a little bit younger, and I think an interesting pick at number 5 for the Clippers would be adding Keaton Wagler to that backcourt alongside Darius Garland, 2 very dynamic offensive talents, great shooting range from the 1 and the 2 with a future starting backcourt of Garland and Keaton Wagler, so I'd be excited to see what that backcourt can do in the West.
Next up, with the 6th pick for the Atlanta Hawks, I think I'm going to rock with Kingston Flemings here. I think he's the next best guard available here on the board, and you factor him in with an Atlanta team that had some fit issues, I guess you could say, with Trae Young and wanted to go in different directions. I think he provides a lot of value with his quick first step and some of the guard shooting capabilities that he has, but I think he's also He provides stuff on the defensive side of the ball as well, enough to not be a liability and have some of the connectivity issues that Trey and the Hawks did. So I think Fleming's not only being the best guard available here is also a much better fit with Jalen Johnson and what this Atlanta Hawks team is building for the future.
For the Utah Jazz, I don't have this player as my next guard available. However, I do think with Keontae George being a small guard already, I do think they would probably, given that the separation on my board isn't too big between these two players, I think I would have to go with the bigger guard that just gives them a little more versatility. So I'm going to go with Michael Brown Jr. for the Jazz, listed at like 6'5". I think him next to Keontae George provides you an insane level of shooting. He doesn't really guard, but we've seen him guard in like certain spots. Like I think he did a lot better job at like USA guarding. So like when he's locked in on that end, it can be a little bit better. He also had a game recently where he had like 5 steals. So you hope one day he guards. I think you also don't fall into the trap of having 2 small guards with taking Michael. You get insane shooting, insane playmaking, and someone to just share the on-ball reps with Keontae George. So give me Michael Brown Jr. for the Jazz.
If you're the Dallas Mavericks at this point, I think with the age of Kyrie Irving and still the question marks of how long he'll be able to continue to be a part of that Dallas franchise, you got to buy in on the timeline of Cooper Flagg. And I think adding to that backcourt that can kind of play alongside him as they develop as a duo is going to be important. So at this point, there's quite a few options. I'm a big fan of LeBaron Philon, but I feel like with the way that Darius Acuff Jr. has been playing over these past few weeks, adding him to a team alongside Cooper Flagg, who can also initiate a lot of the offense, that has a chance to be really special in a Western Conference where you're going to need 1, 2, and maybe 3 elite talents to be able to consistently battle at the top of the conference.
And I think here at Memphis, they have a nice kind of core of young guys that they can kind of try to build around. But I think they're also in a weird spot because they've gotten rid of 2 of their stars from the previous era. It seems like Ja Morant is also going to be on his way out sooner rather than later. So I think I'm going to try to maybe draft a guard who could maybe be that primary initiator in that next phase while they're rebuilding. And I think here I'm going to rock with LeBaron Philon. He's a little bit older. He's a sophomore in his 2nd year, but I do think that he does have some two-way upside. Now, the defensive juice has kind of dropped off this year, but I think that's mainly just because he's taken such an offensive leap. He's playing in that NBA-style system at Alabama, and I think you're kind of seeing a lot of the stuff there that could translate directly to the next level. I like him as a slasher, and I think he's really taken a jump as a shooter. Nice guy who can kind of kick things off and maybe be that potential lead guard for the future.
So for Milwaukee, they can go a couple different places here. I don't know. It's weird because Giannis is most likely out of the door. There's nobody, I don't think, at this range that you can really bank on coming in to replace him. I think you're going to be bad for a few years here. So I think you just kind of take an upside swing on a guy that came into the year highly regarded, had a really rough start to the year, but has been picking it up recently. Uber talented guy, still has a long way. You have a few years to develop him. I'm not making this pick with like Doc Rivers in mind as a coach because I don't think he'd ever play. So this pick is made with Giannis probably leaving, Doc probably leaving. Give me Nate Mint for the Bucks.
Hornets are going to be an interesting team for this draft because they are slightly ahead of schedule with how well Con Knipple has played this year as a rookie, and some of those other young players in Charlotte have stepped it up, and they've kind of been flirting with the play-in at times before the All-Star break. So I think this is a team that's only a couple of pieces away in some more development from their young core from being potentially playoff team for the next few years to come. So I think they just continue to add skill out there on the wing, and I think a guy like Braylon Mullins kind of fits what they've been drafting over the past year. Get some good shooting, some good play on the perimeter, and just see where this thing can go.
Next up, I will be picking for the reigning champs, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think I'm going to have some fun here and go for Jaden Quaintance, just because he is a guy who, with the ACL stuff, he hasn't really played this year. He's played like 4 games. But I think him on OKC could be interesting because he provides another look for them defensively. I mean, say he does get healthy, I think this is probably the best defender period in this draft. I mean, He can protect the rim and he can, step out and guard some smaller players. He has that athleticism and length to handle his own. And also you just factor in the things that he does, the versatility that he has. You just don't see a lot of young bigs who can do the things that he can do. And you factor that in with the OKC team who is very skilled and, I think they already have a pretty solid front court, but you add some extra defensive juice in there. I kind of like the idea of Jaden Quaintance there.
There's a few different places I could go here for the Spurs. I think I'm just going to get them another guy, another wing that can kind of get to his own bucket. I think has like some potential playmaking upside. 6'8", 225, some more size to add. I don't think they really need any more guards. And Wemby kind of has the big spot locked down. So I'm going to go with Dalen Swain for the Spurs at 13.
Trailblazers are a team that I'm not really sure where they want to go right now. I mean, they've got great development from a Denny Avdia player, type of player that can kind of lead them into the future as one of their main pieces. But I think at this point, the franchise, they just need best player available regardless of position. So there's a few guys you could look at, but I think Braden Burries is too much of a significant offensive talent for him to continue to slide down this board. So I think Braden Burries, even though it's a crowded backcourt, I know they got Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard, Scoot Henderson, obviously, but Portland, you've got all these guys, but it hasn't turned into anything. So continue to get the best talent available, and I think Burries is definitely one of them at this point.
With the 15th pick, I have the Golden State Warriors here, and I think I'm going to go Yaxel Lindebord from Michigan. I think even last year he's shown he's a guy who can do a little bit of everything, and I think that's kind of continued for the most part here at Michigan, who's one of the best teams in the country. But I do also this year, he's really shown as a shooter that he does have that touch, and I think he even has a little bit of creation juice there too, maybe. I think this is a good pick for the Warriors just because, one, they're in a weird spot where they're still kind of trying to contend even with these younger guys that they have, but I do think Lindenberg, even though he is a little bit older, I think he could be a nice young piece to have going forward.
At 16, I'll be picking for the Miami Heat. Their roster probably needs a guard more. However, I just think this guy is kind of too perfect of a fit for them and what they like to do. So give me Morez Johnson for the Miami Heat. I just think he gives them incredible defensive versatility. There's some promising signs he may shoot it one day. And he's a real athlete, real physical presence. I just think he's somebody that fits what they like to do. And it looks like Spo was kind of like fell out of love with Khalil Wetter a little bit. So he also gives them somebody to put next to Bam at times. So I think that works out pretty well for them.
Yeah, this Grizzlies team is, again, starting a rebuild, trading Jaren Jackson Jr. I think this is a team that could really go anywhere. And similar to the pick that we had earlier in this mock draft with the Milwaukee Bucks, taking a guy that isn't necessarily ready skill set wise right away, but I think he's got the NBA body to at least compete and get minutes early in his rookie year and start to develop some of the more technique and skill set type of stuff to his game over the next few years as Memphis continues this rebuild. And I really like the fit of Koa Pete going to Memphis to play alongside a stretch shooting wing like a Cedric Coward, and also some of the other young pieces that they're going to add in this upcoming NBA draft.
All right, at pick 18, I have the Thunder again, and some more interesting choices, but here I think I'm going to go Tonde Yesufu. I think he's had some struggles shooting the ball this year and just overall with some of his efficiency, scoring, and from the outside. But I think he does give me a lot of similarities to Lou Dort when you factor in the motor that he has, and I think kind of the build and some of that two-way value that he could provide down the future. But I do think there also is some offensive juice that he can provide in the future should he start to develop on that end a little bit more. And I think he has the tools right now already. And I think, OKC guy, he can dribble, get to his own shot in theory, and, just really physical guy. I think he could fit here with this Thunder team.
At 19, I'll be picking for the Hornets for the second time this draft. I think I kind of like what they have going with Kalkbrenner and Diabate. I don't know if there's any necessarily clear upgrade over those guys at this spot. So I think I'm just going to add to their forward room, give them another versatile guy that provides a little bit more physicality for those teams that kind of increasingly beefing up like their front lines in the East. I think to add a little bit of size to their front court, we're going to add Kareem Lopez to the Hornets at 19.
The Raptors are sitting around the top half of the Eastern Conference playoff seedings right now. So this is a team that, again, is a couple of moves away from being around the top of the conference. They've gotten great play from Scotty Barnes this season, but that backcourt is pretty expensive. So I'm wondering if they're going to kind of address that in any way in this draft. Maybe get a guard at this point that can be on a rookie contract that maybe in the future, if they're able to get off an Emmanuel Quickly deal or something like that. But that's going to be a difficult contract to trade. And I think with how close they are to competing in the top half, like I said, in the Eastern Conference, just add a quality player that can get minutes off the bench right away. And I think Heinz Steinbach from Washington, he's a double-double guy. He can score, he can rebound, and that's something that's going to be beneficial off the bench his rookie year, and maybe development to come over the next few where he can be a more significant contributor.
Now with the 21st pick, I have the Detroit Pistons. Now, this is a team that, if you look across the past few drafts recently, they've kind of drafted guys who have been more defensive-minded and fit that identity that they're trying to build with this now contending team. One thing I do kind of predict happening, and I think anybody who watches the NBA, they kind of see them running into issues with the scoring and the spacing in the playoffs. So I think they'll maybe break that trend this year. And here, I do think they have some wings right now with Robinson and Kevin Huerter on the bench, but I think I'm actually going to try and go a guard here with Bennett Sturts. He's a guy who can play on and off the ball, shoots the ball well, and I think some of his ability to get downhill could be unlocked playing alongside a guy like Cade or just in this Piston system. So I think here I'm going to go Detroit because he's another creator who adds some off-ball versatility.
At 22 for the Los Angeles Lakers, I think I'm going to go with Chris Sinak. I think he provides a pretty good upside swing. He has shown flashes of like real talent before, like potential on-ball stuff, even though that's probably like years and years away. But he can shoot it. He is athletic enough to catch lobs from Luka, which is kind of what you need with someone like him on the floor. He's shown a significant increase in motor this year at Houston. Like going to Houston, as everybody thought, playing for Kelvin Sampson, he either wasn't going to play or he was going to really have to ramp his motor up, and I think he's done that so far. I don't think it's the best offensive context for him. I don't think we're quite seeing everything he can do. I think it's like, I don't know if these guys are similar players, but I think similar to how the perception was of Derek Lively coming out of Duke, of how you might not have seen everything he can do. I think Sinak is in a similar context with Houston. He might have some more to unlock at the next level, so I think it's a good upside swing for the Lakers at 22.
Yeah, Philly is a team that they have got, I think, a superstar in that backcourt with Tyrese Maxey and a budding superstar as well from this previous draft class with VJ Edgecombe. So you do not need to address the backcourt here in this first round. You got to go somewhere else. And I think with Joel Embiid continuing to age, add someone that can fill in those games where he's not playing on a back-to-back, or if he just needs a game of rest. I think just a quality defender that this might be seen as a little bit of a reach at this point in the draft, but I've really liked what I've seen from him this year at Kansas. I think Flory Badunga would be a fantastic fit in that Philly system to play some defense, block some shots. He doesn't need the ball to be impactful. That allows guys like Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe to just have complete reins of the offense and not have to, throw it into the post to a Joel Embiid for him to kind of get his game off. So, Flory Badunga, welcome to the first round. You're heading to Philly for a team that is really on the rise.
Okay, I have the 24th pick for the Denver Nuggets here, and I think I'm going to go a guy from Iowa State, Joshua Jefferson. I think he's just a high-field player. I think he has instincts on both sides of the ball. I think he's a great passer, and I think he also can make plays defensively as well. Maybe not the greatest shooter, but I don't think he's a total non-factor there. And I feel like when this Denver Nuggets team is healthy, he could provide definitely on a more miniature scale, but I think in bench minutes, he could provide some of the stuff that Jokic does in a way. I think he's just a high field connector, and his skill set that he has, I feel like would be a great fit for a Nuggets team.
At 25 for the Atlanta Hawks, with Trae Young out the door, they could use a guard. It kind of runs into the same problem due to it being a small guard. However, I think you can kind of use him as like a six-man, come in, spark plug your offense. And at times he can run the offense when Jalen Johnson's off the floor. So I think that you take one of the best shooters in the draft, someone who is really, really good in pick and roll, one of the best pull-up shooters in the draft. Then you take Christian Anderson and hope he replaces 60, 70% of what Trae Young was and at a fraction of the cost.
So the New York Knicks, with their solidified starting five, they're just looking for more bench production on a cheap contract. Malik Thomas, I think his offensive game, we saw him have a really big game this past week, shooting the ball from the perimeter. So if he can step into the type of role that Tyler Kolek plays, where he's a spark plug off the bench, I think that's actually a perfect type of role for the early career of Malik Thomas. You don't have to rely on him to do too much. He can come in, get buckets, which is kind of his strong suit as a player at this point. So Malik Thomas heading to New York, he'll have a couple games in the Garden where he goes for 20, 25 points off the bench on just a heater from downtown some nights.
Okay, with the 27th pick for the Boston Celtics here, I think I'm going to go Ade Mara. Now, with this Celtics team, I think that they have a lot of the pieces that they had from that championship team, even with some of the trades that they did this past offseason. But I do feel like there's a little bit of a hole with the front court, and I think Ade Mara, if you wanted a quick solution to that, could maybe help fill some of those gaps, especially with Nikola Vucevic kind of being your starting center right now. He's maybe not the best rim protector from a movement and guarding and space standpoint, but I do think he has the hands and the feel to kind of be a solid option for right there for now. And I think he also has some passing juice on the other side of the ball that can make him just a valuable asset in the minutes that he does play for the Celtics team.
At 28, I'll be drafting for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I was torn here between Alan Graves from Santa Clara and someone who I'm fairly sure is going to be in this draft. And to be honest, if he's in this draft, I would really lose sleep passing on him, especially like when we get into this like late first round. So I think I might have to go with Elijah Arenas here. He hasn't had the greatest start to the year. However, it has been like 9 months since he played 5-on-5 basketball. He's shown like enough like glimpses, and he showed incredible talent in high school. He's kind of exactly what the Cavs have like kind of always needed. Like he's a bigger guard to pair next to Mitchell. I know they have Harden now, however, you don't kind of know how long you ever have Harden for. And at like 6'7", 6'8", he can probably play down the lineup as well and provide you like some real ball handling, real shooting. Not somebody you'll need necessarily right away, but might presently surprise you. And with that much talent this late in the draft, you're not likely to find much anyway. So I think you take the upside swing on Elijah Arenas and you live with it if you're the Cavs.
Well, here deep in the first round, the Dallas Mavericks, they've already added in this mock draft Darius Acuff Jr. to that backcourt to kind of learn under Kyrie Irving for a couple of years. I think that's going to be beneficial. But again, this late in the draft, you're just trying to add talent. And I think even though it is kind of another guard, playmaking guy with the ball in his hands type of player, I think Cameron Carr could be a future kind of down the road big impact guy for this Dallas Mavericks team that's continuing to get younger and continuing to try to build around Cooper Flagg, get guys out there that he can pass the ball to that are positive playmakers. And to end the first round with Cameron Carr and also Darius Acuff in the first, that's a pretty terrific draft, I would say, for Dallas.
With the 30th pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I don't think this is the perfect fit necessarily, but with him showing kind of the value that he provides offensively as a downhill athletic guard and him being able to convert that on the defensive side as well, I think this could be an interesting pick for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He would provide them some more backup guard depth that they've kind of been searching for, and I think Tyler Tanner could provide some first round value, depending whether or not he stays or leaves for next year.